This week on GamePron News, we take a brief look at the hacking wave that has swept so many games companies in recent weeks. The Australian Classification Board is forced to rethink two of its earlier decisions. Firemint gets ready to take on Apple's AirPlay. Gran Turismo takes a gamer all the way from the basement to the podium at Le Mans. Battlefield 3 takes a prehistoric potshot with its E3 demo trailer. And Robin Williams reveals that he's not so secretly a massive Nintendo fanboy. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen. While we're busily recovering from E3, a whole bunch of games companies around the world are doing double time, recovering from denial of service attacks, forum hacks, and all sorts of other unauthorized intrusions. These companies include Eidos, Codemasters, Epic Games, Bethesda, BioWare, and the developers of Heroes of Newerth, EVE, League of Legends, and Minecraft. That's not to mention the CIA, United States Senate, and of course Sony, which is still experiencing drama not only on the PlayStation Network, but also on Sony Pictures and Sony BMG. Allegedly, Nintendo and Blizzard have also been targeted. It's not necessarily the same groups behind each attack either. While Anonymous has been named as causing the month-long PlayStation Network outage, responsibility for newer attacks has been largely claimed by LulzSec. Other smaller groups like Versailles have also popped up on social networking sites alleging to have accessed various companies. Analysts at this point are suggesting that while this wave of games-related hacking has come on rather suddenly, it's not expected to go away in a hurry. Sony is partially to blame. The PlayStation Network outage displayed to the world that not only could major gaming networks be compromised, but they're also a lucrative target. A positive way of looking at it is that gaming companies may beef up their security in order to try and prevent this sort of thing from happening, and that gamers themselves may become more security conscious, not using the same password across all services, but in the short term at least, we'll brace ourselves for the almost daily hacker headlines. In other news, the Australian Classification Board is making its own headlines twice over this week, as it takes a second look at two games it previously considered were okay for children. Dead or Alive Dimensions caused quite a stir in Sweden when it was revealed the game featured girls as young as 16 who were able to be photographed in allegedly compromising positions. The game was given a family-friendly PG rating in Australia back in February and released without fanfare last month. Everything was fine until the local media got a hold of the Swedish story and tipped off the Classification Board that something wasn't quite right. Upon reviewing the situation, the board uncovered content not drawn to its attention in the original application, meaning that the game's PG rating was revoked. Local publisher Nintendo claims that the drama is not their fault, pointing the finger at THQ, the company originally slated to bring Tecmo's title to Australia. Allegedly, it was the THQ submission which failed to provide adequate information for the classification. Either way, the game is now effectively banned from sale or public display until the game is reclassified and given a more appropriate rating. One game that is still on sale in Australia is Ubisoft's controversial flirty party game We Dare. That's even though the Federal Minister for Home Affairs has lodged an application for the game's rating to be reviewed after receiving heavy criticism over the PG rating that game was given in September last year. Unlike the Dead or Alive case, Ubisoft provided the board with plenty of information, suggesting that the game, which features a sexual tone despite the highly stylized cartoon graphics, should receive a mature rating. The board found that the M rating was unnecessary due to the lack of actual sexual behaviour in the game. But it looks like that approach might be about to change, with the board reviewing its decision as of June 17th. While everybody was focusing on E3 last week, another major electronic entertainment event was being held in San Francisco. Apple's annual Worldwide Developer Conference was on at the same time, and while it obviously wasn't quite so gaming focused, there were still a few tidbits revealed which might just revolutionise the gaming industry. One of the major announcements was AirPlay, an interesting bit of wireless technology which will do away with the cumbersome HDMI cable and adapter that connects your iPad to your big screen TV. Real Racing 2 HD from Aussie developers Firemint has already gained critical acclaim for its innovative dual-screen implementation, so it's no surprise that the company wasted no time in jumping on the AirPlay bandwagon. Using iOS 5, you'll soon be able to stream content directly from your iOS device, that's your iPhone, iPad or iTouch, directly to your Apple TV, meaning that nothing will stand between you and your racing game on the big screen. The totally wireless experience with Real Racing 2 puts your TV into full screen mode, showing the view from your racing cockpit, while your iPad becomes your steering wheel, showing real-time racing telemetry. AirPlay and iOS 5 are due to arrive next month, so you'd better get practicing. You don't want to be left behind on the grid, do you? If you prefer your racing on console rather than mobile, there's a lot to gain from putting in the hours on Gran Turismo too. Just ask Lucas Ordonez, the first graduate of the Nissan PlayStation GT Academy. 3 years ago, Lucas heard about a competition for racing game fans, so he picked up a PlayStation 3 and a copy of Gran Turismo and started practicing. He won a place at the Academy and, in turn, the opportunity to take part in a real-world race. His run of good luck continued this week along with his teammates Frank Mayu and Sohei Arai. Lucas could not stop smiling as he stood on the podium at the Le Mans 24-hour race. The racing game fan had finished second in class in the world-renowned 24-hour race, describing it as all of his dreams coming true. It doesn't stop there though. Lucas is taking on the ILMC round at Imola next month, and the next season of Gran Turismo Academy students is down to 12 finalists, all of whom were at Le Mans over the weekend to get a taste of success. This week we also got a hefty serving of in-game footage from Battlefield 3, the same demo that was on the show floor at E3. Titled Thunder Run, it's 7 minutes of executive producer Patrick Bach playing through a large-scale tank assault in the outskirts of Tehran. And while the game looks amazing and the combat is awesome and all of the accolades are well deserved, DICE gave SPS gamers a bit of a chuckle from the very opening scene, which throws a toy Tyrannosaurus into the mix.
Miller, stop playing around. I'm gonna be alright, Miller. We'll be back in time for his birthday.
So, why the dinosaur? Sure, it's a gift from home, a present for Dad, something to remember me by, but that's not the whole story. To get the whole story, you'll have to cast your minds back to 2009. Activision asked a very popular online message board what the company could do to improve the Modern Warfare franchise. The response they perhaps were not expecting: the game would really benefit from the inclusion of dinosaurs. And while we haven't seen anything from Infinity Ward on the subject, Battlefield developers DICE have cast the first stone, proving that the rivalry is over before it's even started. Battlefield 3 is the one with prehistoric creatures. And finally this week, I'd like to share with you one of the most heartwarming pieces of video game advertising you are ever likely to see. Regardless of your feelings towards Ocarina of Time 3D, this video from Nintendo is so charming, so wonderful, so beardy, that you'll find yourself smiling by the end of it. I promise.
The first time I saw you, I knew we'd be linked forever. For you, I traveled to the four corners of the world. I faced adversity. I became a hero.
Dad.
I saved your kingdom.
Dad.
Yes, Zelda?
Are you mixing me up with the princess again?
Hard to say. You're both pretty magical.
Until next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is GamePron News.